This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you in partnership with TKM Inc. TKM stands for The King's Men. They pride themselves on being hardworking, honest, and dependable. They put an emphasis on serving Christ by serving others.
Their scope of work cover road construction, small dirt work and excavating, heavy hauling in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Georgia.
They can be reached at 931-243-3958, and they are located at 10635 Clay County Highway, Moss, Tennessee, 38575. You can also find more information at benandtravis.com/TKM.
TKM Inc. is also a sponsor of the Batify Freedom 5K and Fun Run on July the 10th at Mars Hill Bible School. We would love for you to come run with us in person or do it virtually. You can register at benandtravis.bigcartel.com. That's benandtravis.bigcartel.com.
Welcome in to the Helping Healing Humor podcast with Ben and Travis. I'm Ben. That's Travis up in the corner, and in the other corner, Will Mahan, and we are excited to be with you guys for another episode as we are coming to you on the halfway day of the 30-day Batify challenge. So, guys, how's the 30-day challenge going for you?
Man, I'm tearing it up. I have missed one day as I drove back from the beach. I did get my Proverbs reading in. But, man, I'm feeling good. I did get all my walk in. I didn't do a lot of running while I was at the beach, but got a lot of walking in, spending time with the fam jam, soaking in the sun. How about you, Will?
It's gone pretty well. I've missed a couple of days with some youth events, different things, but like this year for me has been total non-running and walking. Like the other day I did 5 miles kayaking. We did 4.5 miles with the juniors and seniors hiking Mount LeConte up in Pigeon Forge. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out how I'm going to get my stuff in while I'm sitting on the beach next week and trying to fight the urge of just straight relaxation. So it's been going pretty good. So kind of getting me into the St. Jude training, try and create a little habit so that I can get that and not die in the middle of a marathon at the end of the year.
Listen, I don't know what's worse. Like running on the beach is pretty tough. Walking or running on the beach can be kind of tough. But, you know, I underestimate a little bit the hills of Branson, Missouri. Like I've always been I've always talked about how the Gatlinburg Mountains are actual mountains, and Missouri is like the Branson area is more just like rolling hills. But when you start running or walking those rolling hills of Branson, Missouri, it is torturous. So just saying, I got a couple of days where I did that, and then just walking through Silver Dollar City in Branson was quite the workout in and of itself. There's some monster hills comparative to Big Bertha over in TVA. So, you know, pushing strollers up that wasn't a whole lot of fun either. So I don't know. Those beaches are tough though, Travis.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of running on the beach, although my younger brother Kevin did a lot of that while we were there, and he wanted me to go with him. But as per usual, I'm not going with my brother when Whitney wants me to go with her. Sorry, bro.
That's a good call.
Gonna hang out with the wife over just about any of you people. So yeah. Sorry, Ben, Will, but you know, you understand. I'm in the same pecking order. I'm not telling you anything that shouldn't be true of all of us, anyways. But we're gearing up for Father's Day, man. Father's Day, right around the corner, and so, you know, I tend to think that being a teacher, you know, Mother's Day rolls around while school's in, and so my wife gets all these like drawn pictures and cards and Mother's Day, and I'm right there with them. Right, there's like nobody on the planet like my mom, and but man, I think that to some degree, you know, Father's Day being in the summer months when school's not really going on, we kind of get, I'm not going to say the shaft, but we do get ignored to some degree. Not that when the day comes, it's not a great day, but so we're going to talk a little bit about being a pappy a dad, all that good stuff that goes along with it. So looking forward to it, to learn from the master, Ben Hayes, lowercase m master of fatherhood, right?
Not even close. Not even close. But it is an interesting thing that, a lot of times it's not, it goes beyond the teachers and stuff, which I will have to say, like, a couple of the teachers at our school make sure that when they make the Mother's Day crafts, they go ahead and do the Father's Day ones
Nice.
and stick them into the backpacks so that they've got them. So I think we actually got a couple of Father's Day things a little bit early. But, I know that there's always been talk about how, like, there's more money spent on Mother's Day every year than, way more than ever spent on Father's Day. And like the number one call collect day of the year is, which is not much of a thing anymore, but used to be, was they would call Dad collect. So Dad had to pay the bills, but they would call him. And so, it's got it's always had a little bit different feel to it. A lot of guys always warned me, like, okay, you talked good about mothers on Mother's Day. Please don't blast the dads on Father's Day, because that's, what it feels like is that the dads get blasted in all the sermons. Mothers are like, oh, they're the greatest thing ever. And then we blast the fathers. So I'd be interested to know, like, if you're listening to this and you got a place to leave a comment there on the Facebook page or whatever, like, your thoughts about the difference in Mother's Day and Father's Day, just kind of how you've seen, or if you've seen that at all.
Well, I tell my kids that I like their mom better than them too, so it works out.
There you go. And that is why it's a Father's Day fail. So, all of us, obviously here on the podcast, have had the experience of being a father. Will, what are some things about being a father that are different than what you thought fatherhood would be, before? Like, I know we all have these, like, high expectations. I know when I was, before I became a dad, one of my kind of inspirations was reading the book Wild at Heart by John Eldredge. And I was like, man, I want to be that kind of dad, go on all these adventures and all that kind of stuff. And I've probably not been the same kind of dad that I envisioned. So for you, Will, better or worse, whatever, what has been kind of the difference or the comparison between what you thought it would be and what it is?
Man, this is where it's probably, and I'm going to make every other father probably really mad for a second, but, like, Amy's such an easy child. Like, it's like Ben knows that, Travis has seen, parts of it. But like, it's been really easy. Now we're getting to the attitude phase. I think the independent kind of nature. I want to do things, independently my way. But I think for me, so many people said, man, it's going to be so stressful. Being a father, there's all these sleepless nights, tough things to go through. And really, it's just been incredible. Like I really have just loved every minute. And, of course, people always go, okay, well, Ben's got 5 kids. When are you going to have your next? You got to hurry up and catch up, to the Hayes crew here at Highland Park. But Lindsay and I were even talking last night, like, I'm so just pleased with how our family's going that it's like, I can't imagine having another child right now, because things have just been so good for us. I think part of it for me was my whole family was all guys. And so I didn't know what it would be like to have a girl. I didn't know, am I gentle enough? What's it going to be like? And all that. And to me, I can't imagine not having a girl. Like a lot of people have said, well, you've just got to have that guy. You've got to have your son. You've got to have your boy. And I'm just going, hey, I'll have 3 or 4 more girls. It's like, this is fine with me, because when I run home, like, Amy's always just like, Dad, and it's dad right now, which is just no feeling like it, And so for me, I think part of it too was just the amount of love that I would receive. I thought I would be the one giving all the love. And it's just, man, your heart explodes. And it's been so much fun for me. So I try not to go in with all these expectations. I thought for sure, we're gonna play softball, we're gonna play basketball, and we're gonna do all these things. And she loves to dance, and went to dance recitals and doing all that dance classes each week. And so I think there's some things like that probably as she gets older, I may look at and go, okay, this is going to be completely different. Like I thought I would always be a sports dad, and not that dance isn't a sport. It's just not something I've ever known. And so I think
a good recovery right there, by the way. Lindsay, listening, that's a good recovery.
Yeah, dance and cheerleading, they are sports. Yeah, just want to make sure I get a Father's Day present.
Yeah, that's right. It was going down the tube quick right there.
And so, I mean, I think there's things like that as she gets older that I may look at and go, okay, I never pictured this part of my life. Or even like theater and stuff like right now, she loves to get up at the house and just put on these shows. And I was never involved in any of that. And it was just never a part of my childhood or even my teenage years. And so I think there's some things down the road that just may be new to me. And so, but I mean, right now it's just, I mean, it's awesome. I love it.
So did she get her dancing skills from you or from Lindsay?
No chance. No, yeah, it's all Lindsay. Yeah, it's no.
We need to see this or something. I mean,
yeah, no, it's all completely her. So some people said that she gets some personality. There's personality between both of us. Both of us are stubborn at times, and she's got that 100%. But she's pretty outgoing once she gets kind of around you, and just super independent, which is really cool to watch. So, I mean, it's been phenomenal and exceeded all the expectations that I could ever have had.
So what about you, Travis? Like, how was that different for you?
Well, we fostered and we adopted, and I'll say that I think for moms, it's really easy for them to just mother. That's like that's what makes women so awesome, and not to hear and bash dads like we were talking about earlier, as a lot of the sermons on Sunday might be. But I've learned perspective, I guess. Everybody gets fired. Was the house on fire? No. Okay, good. All right. So now we can work our way down from emergency to, major issue, but probably mercy. Mercy has become so real to me. When you don't have kids, it's always, well, when I have kids, I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And, you've got this great strategy that is going to work, because it's you for some reason. But mercy and prayer, man, and I'm still working on the prayer thing, but, to be merciful, not only to my kids, which I want to be seen as that, but also like other adults as I grew up, and I've said this before, and I've heard this on other shows, my parents were growing up too. They were learning as they went. And did they make mistakes? Yes. Do I make mistakes? Yes. And so just understanding mercy and then trying to be merciful to my kids. Do I want them to remember me as this evil dictator who just could not stand the rules to be bent or broken, which I absolutely was when we first got them, and now I've moved to that mentality of, is the house on fire? Is someone's life in danger? Okay, not. Okay, then we can work our way down. But yeah, mercy and praying. I will say that I spend a lot more nights contemplating, did I show them affection today? I remember while I was on vacation last week, one day I was like, man, I just didn't see my kids like all day. Like, that was cool with taking aunts and uncles, is there was no shortage of babysitters. But then it was like, okay, tomorrow, I'm going to spend all day with them if that's something that they want to do, which my daughter does. Like, she really wants to spend time. So we just spend time in the pool, man, and we just did whatever she wanted to do. You want to jump off the side? You want me to spin you around? You want me to shoot you? Whatever, into the water. However you want to do it, let's do it. And so it was really cool to spend, probably 4, maybe even 6 hours together on that last day, that full day that we had the beach. And so, just giving them something that maybe they can latch on to, and kids need that validation, I guess is the word. That I'm so proud of you. If you go out and win a gold medal, that's awesome, that's great, we'll celebrate. But are you a decent person who can treat their neighbor with respect? Man, I'll be pleased. If you want to be my son, that's a year or so ago, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? A garbage truck. Well, I don't think you can be a garbage truck, but you can be a decent person and work on the garbage truck, and Dad will be super happy. Like, awesome, whatever, man. But just trying to instill, and I think there's that gear of, I certainly don't think of, hey, I want them to have it better than I did, because, man, like, I grew up with just an awesome situation with a village of people who took a lot of, interest in my life, and I'm so thankful for that. But also instilling in them, that I love you, and I have pride in, the awesome things that make you you.
Yeah, and I have to remind myself of that a lot, of the idea. I guess, we all think in terms of, I want my kids to experience so much or have so much, or whether it's more. I'm kind of like you. I grew up in the same scenario. It's not like I feel like anything was lacking in my life. In fact, when I look back at my childhood, I think I had a pretty cool childhood, and we didn't do that much. We might go to the beach every so often. We might go to Gatlinburg every so often. We didn't have a ton of money. We just, did stuff together. And I think of it as pretty good, that I had it pretty good. But at the same time, I think everybody has these lofty goals of what I want for my kids. And really what your kids probably want more than anything is just dad. I mean, they just want mom, they want dad, they want to spend that time. And so they're just as happy to have a tickle fight, on the bed or on the couch, as they are to go, do some huge thing somewhere. And you can take your kids to Disney World once a year, and never spend any other time with them. And I don't think that the childhood's going to be that great. I think they need you on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And that's something where I have to really fight and struggle to, I get home sometimes at night and I just want to vegetate somewhere. I just want to go hide out in the room, get under the covers, do something. But I recognize that that fatherhood's an everyday thing. It's something that they need me. And motherhood is too. Motherhood is probably one that doesn't, and that's probably why they get a lot more glory sometimes, is because it's just, a natural thing. They're going to mother, like you said earlier. And fatherhood, we're going to father, but sometimes we have to, because of our time schedules and things like that, sometimes I think it means we've got to be very much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, persistent or intentional. That's the word I was trying to get at. We got to be intentional about it, because we may be gone, on sometimes some dads work, weeks at a time away from home. And when they're home, they've got to be intentional about that time with their kids.
Well, I think we, in discussion with people who've wanted us to come, or individually or together, to speak places, that's something we always take into consideration, that, not only, are we putting in work to provide lessons. Of course, both of us have been in ministry long enough that we've probably got 3 or 4 that are in our back pocket that we can do anytime in cases of emergency. But it's really that time away from the family that has really, and that's been something, Ben, that you've helped me with, because I'm always ready to go. When's the next adventure? Let's get on the road. Let's keep the roads hot. And something that you've brought into a little bit clearer focus for me is that, hey, when you're saying yes to that, you're also saying no to, this. And I think your experience, and I know we're going to talk about a little bit in the next episode, our vacation, that you took your kids with you and you spoke a couple of places. And I think that that's something that they'll remember forever, and obviously I think that you will too. And so it's that idea of time, man. It's just so valuable And Will, you being the young buck on, and I know you know this, but man, it just, the older you get, the more that's the case, and we batch record these sometimes. And so it's, we keep some stuff in our back pocket when family time needs to happen. And if that's something that needs to occur, I don't ever want you guys to feel pressured. Oh, we got a pod. We can figure something out, because, that's what's important, is that opportunity to spend that time with family. And so, I'm looking forward to Father's Day. So unless y'all got a few other things you want to mention in that gear,
Not
I've got
in particular,
a fun question.
I think one thing I was going to mention that we'll might bring up in the next one too. I don't know, whenever it's appropriate in there, but somebody, I think it's Daryl Pickle and Lonnie Jones and some of us that bow fish every now and then together. And I can't remember who said it the first time, but somebody, pointed to the sunset one night and said, we only get so many of those. Soak those in. You only get so many sunsets. And so I've tried a lot lately to think in terms of, I only get so many of those. You only get so many summers with your kids. You only get so many Saturdays with your kids. I know JJ Davenport pointed that out a couple of years ago. Like, when her daughter was getting close to graduating, I remember her talking about, I only get this many more Saturdays with my kid before she graduates and goes off to college. And so, when you really start thinking about it in those perspectives, you think, wow, that's, in a year, if you got one more year before they graduate, you got less than 52, Saturdays with them, because there's always going to be some things coming up. And so you just got to kind of think in terms of how much more time do I have? And everything's limited. So soak up as much time. So Will, as you take off to the beach this week, soak up that time with Emmy, with Lindsay, with whoever else may be with you, because that's an event, and that's a time that you don't get back. So make sure you squeeze as much out of it as you can.
So I will ask, this isn't necessarily, I guess it is a fun question, but since we're encouraging dads today, I want you guys to take an opportunity to send a shout out. So think of something, and hopefully there's a long list. I kind of know both of your dads. Obviously, I know Ben's dad a little more, but obviously they helped produce some awesome dudes that I like to spend a lot of time with. So give us something or some things that your dad did really well that you would love, hopefully are mimicking in your relationship with your kids.
Will, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go. So I'll do two things. My dad never missed a single event that I was ever involved in. Not that I could, and I've tried to, Lindsay and I have had this conversation a lot, because I've tried to think back, and I believe that he was most likely either at every game, or if he wasn't at a game that I was involved in, he was at Andrew's game and Mom was at my game. And so since we were both playing high school ball at Marshall at the same time, Dad was either watching Andrew or he was either watching me. And that's something that Lindsay and I have kind of set a precedent for, especially with youth ministry, is like right now, every week that Emmy has dance class, we will never attend a youth group, students function. Like, it's always going to be Emmy stuff and then the youth group stuff. And so that's something I remember. Even Dad worked for the city of Florence, and he was a meter reader, and then kind of moved up into some other stuff there at the city. And I would, even at practice at Mars Hill, you've got the nursing home that sits above, or the assisted living apartments that sit up above the baseball field. And I would see Dad's truck up there even during practice sometimes, that he would just be swinging by. He had finished his work, and so he would be sitting up there at the top of the hill, just even watching practice. And so Dad was always just present at everything we were involved in. And I always thought, man, that's really cool, until I realized like how special it was because of so many kids whose dads don't go to their stuff. And I've been to a lot of youth group functions, all over, where parents just couldn't come because of work or because of some other issue. And mom and dad were just never that way. And so that's something that we've really tried to make a point of, that we're going to do for Emmy and any future children, is just, hey, we're going to be at whatever it is that you do, because we realize how special that was, because of how many people don't have that on a weekly basis. So that's the one thing that we're trying to take and kind of mimic that dad did. I mean, of course, dad always was at church. I mean, we were at church 30 minutes before the doors, before everybody else, before things started. Like, dad always had us there. Mom did. That's probably not just a dad thing. That's a mom thing as well. But I was looking through an old Bible that I got the other day from college, and dad had written me a note in it. And he said, and I forgot where it's quoted in scripture, but he said that a great name is worth more than riches. And he said, I want you to always live by this, that your reputation and who you represent is worth more than all the money that you could ever have in the world. And that's just something that's always, I remember reading that. He handed it to me. He and mom both wrote a couple of things in it, and then they left me at Freed Hardeman. And that was kind of the last little sentiment that dad, just kind of said without saying anything to me. And so I've always tried to live my life to go, hey, I want to represent somebody and represent Jesus in his name. And that's more important than anything else in the world. And so he wrote that. And then at the very end, he put Roll Tide. And so got to keep that going. And so he and mom and I have season tickets this year. So it's kind of come full circle. He took me to games growing up, to Legion Field, to all over the place, to now be able to get to experience going back with him, because I'll probably be the chauffeur driving him and mom down each weekend. It just comes kind of full circle to go back and spend those times now as an adult, like we did as a child, that he kind of pushed and did for us. So just a couple of things. Couldn't be more blessed that, to have the father that I do.
Yeah, I'd say some of the very same things. I can't remember my dad ever missing anything, and I didn't play as many sports as you did, Will. I mean, I played baseball, and we would go around with the chorus to different Sunday nights, doing different things, singing at different churches, and I can remember, them being a part of that, going on some of our trips that we went on for a week at a time, and dad helping out and being a part of it, and just, again, being present. And that's a huge thing that I've tried to do with my kids, that I've tried to, be that same way, to be present with them. Dad had, some different things that, remember who you are was one of those things. I think Travis asked on our Facebook group, what are some things that your dad said over and over again? There was a lot of the things on there that dad said, like, I'll give you something to cry about or whatever. But he also said some things like, remember who you are and whose you are. And one that I kind of use a lot with kids, my kids and, youth group and whatever else, is just, leave a place better than you found it. And so dad was just a big about respecting other people, respecting other people's stuff. And just, if you go somewhere and you trash a place, clean it up. If you go somewhere and it's already trashed, clean it up, and so whether you did it or somebody else did it, then, leave it better than you found it. So I think I've gotten and brought a lot of things about respect along with me from dad. And I guess that's one of the things that drives me the most crazy is, people disrespecting things and disrespecting people. And I think I kind of got that from dad. So how about it?
Well, as we get ready to wrap up, do you guys, either one of you, got a dad joke that maybe you've heard recently? I know we did a couple back on a couple episodes ago. I'll give you an opportunity to think of one, and if not, we'll close out. But one great memory of Ben's dad, Ronald, also known as Jackknife. We had a good buddy of ours from Pennsylvania come down and spend the weekend with us when we were in Florence, and we kind of let him take the trip around. And we went to Ben's dad's house, and Nadine, and I don't know if we'd eaten a meal or whatever, but we went to leave, and we were actually going to church, which they were going to be at. We're going to go to Jacksonburg. And we walk out the door, and Ben's dad says, "Now, y'all come back now." The
general Southern
statement
thing, yeah.
of hospitality. Y'all come back now. Well, Nathan tried to go back in the house. And we were like, no. He didn't mean come back now. He just means you can come back again sometime. No, that's disrespectful. He told y'all to come back in the house. We got to go back. No, Nathan, no. It's just a saying. He's going to be at church in just a few minutes. It's just him being hospitable. But I mean, I remember him arguing with us down the road and kind of just rebuking us about how disrespectful it was that we had not come back in the house when Ben's dad had told us to do that. But I always remember that story. And of course, there's a bunch of other ones as well. Any dad jokes, fellas?
There was one that I saw the other day, and of course it comes from our good friend Justin Spann, because that's all that he will post on Facebook.
They're pretty solid, by the way.
And it's got in big bold letters, tradition, and then under it says the definition: peer pressure from dead people. And I thought, being in ministry, I was like, that one maybe has kind of has a interesting meaning, So
wow.
I was sitting there with a bunch of high school kids and just started cracking up, and they didn't find it as funny as I did, but I found it pretty humorous.
Well, my problem is I can never just come up with dad jokes. They just happen. So I'm just randomly going down the road and something will happen and I'll make some terrible joke. And Destin's like the dad joke police. So she's always like, "That's horrible, Dad." Or I'll get a laugh out of it. So it just kind of depends. So I'm not real good at just coming up with over and over and over again dad jokes. But, in keeping with what we said just a little bit ago, maybe this one's one that is both terrible and meaningful. I'm afraid for the calendar. Its days are numbered. So there you go. And by the way, the calendar days are numbered for the Batify challenge, because we're halfway through it. And if you haven't jumped on board, jump on board with that, because we've got there's 15 more days left. And you can just keep on going into July if you'd like, which also feeds into you'd be wrapping it up pretty close to at least the Batify 5K that we're having, the Freedom 5K. And so we would love to have you guys on board with that for sure as well.
And that link is in our show notes, so be sure to check it out. Click on it. I'll leave you with my father-in-law's favorite statement. We sure do hope that you're hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
Yes.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.